That's a very big advantage actually. Now, there are some testing tools that are available in the market. One of them is the ZPX. It's a manual testing tool, and it can be used with the HP A&M's Quick Test Professional QTP. And this is the link to where you can get it from. The other is TestQuest, which is an automated testing tool, and that's the link for it. Then there are some tools for bug tracking, or rather actually these are not essentially mobile application based, but these can be customized pretty well to do the bug tracking and support functions for mobile applications, Bugzilla and Mantis. This slide is just an FYI, guys. So like I said, testing and QA is something that's often ignored. And what we tend to forget is the unit testing, then the performance testing. Like I said, if your app is using some service in the background, then you really need to overload that service, whichever server it's connecting to. So we need to do a performance testing. If I'm using BBM, for example, I need to check if I'm interfacing two handsets over BBM, if I'm going to do a third one, if I'm going to do a fourth one, sending the sending a request to the same device, what happens? If I'm sending 10 BBM requests to the same application on the same device, what happens? So that is a kind of testing we just tend to ignore, or due to lack of time or budgets, whatever. The third thing, and a very important thing that a lot of us, especially when we are working in small units, tend to ignore is the support functions. And this is very important because support is actually the health check for your app. More than what your app store tells you, it's going to be your support mails, your user feedbacks, which are going to tell you where you stand. So it's a very good measure of your popularity. Users don't really understand what those stars they give you on the app store actually means. I mean, I have seen apps which have got where the user writes, "I love this app," and then they give it 1 star. So support mails are an actual feedback, an actual measure of how popular your app is, and it's the best way to relate to your user. If you're able to send back the response, if your user is facing some problem and some issue, and he sends a support mail to you, and you respond to him in time, then you have a winner. You get that user. So if you're really looking to build your active user base and build it strong, then support is one function you really should not ignore, because it's the best way to relate to your user. So eventually we come to the last phase of our life cycle, that's the delivery and support. Once you've put out your app onto the App Store, then you need to provide continued application support, both in terms of enhancements. You could get an idea from the user reviews, from your feedback mails, from your competition and peers around you, the app stores, the events, anything. And enhancements obviously can also be futuristic. If I know there's a technology coming up, if I know there's an NFC and I know nobody else has done it, I would like to do it. So enhancements could also be futuristic, wherein you think, you vision, and create something. And of course, providing bug fixes, which is very important, because if you have a bug fix out there in your application, you'll be surprised by seeing the way your user base is going to drop. Now we come to the next part of our